I'm Travis Frame, and this is Frame by Frame. And today I'm going to be doing kind of a reboot of my Lars von Trier Depression Trilogy analysis. I obviously took a long break making the videos. I've finally finished kind of putting together my thoughts. I even went back through and rewatched all the movies. I even watched the director's cut of Nymphomaniac. Um, I've gone back through and watched different parts of them, reviewed them, done a little bit more reading into it, and I think I have a much more complete understanding of the films. And that's why I wanted to kind of restart. This video will be very similar to the one that was posted a long time ago. So if you want to skip it, you can. It's not going to be that different, but there are some small changes. And I think the video series will be a little bit longer than before. I've added a couple more episodes that weren't originally talked about in that original video. And this is also going to be a little bit more like my Zack Snyder's Justice League video, where it's kind of just me talking and not really edited, just kind of throwing my thoughts out there, except for this one, instead of the Snyder's Justice League one, it's a lot more structured, more planned out, not just stream of consciousness. So I hope everyone watching enjoys this, and we'll get right into it. This is episode 1 of my von Trier Depression Trilogy analysis, the introduction. So Lars von Trier is a very controversial filmmaker, and rightly so. His movies are incredibly polarizing and also very disturbing. As of recording this video, I've seen 12 of his films, most of them so far. So those films being The Element of Crime, Europa, Breaking the Waves, Dancer in the Dark, The Five Obstructions, Boss of It All, Dogville, Manderley, Antichrist, Melancholia, Nymphomaniac, and The House of Jack Built. The films of von Trier have many different elements and themes that differentiate each other from the other ones in his filmography. He takes an incredibly unique approach to all of his films, and this often makes them very unpopular. Von Trier is a no-holds-barred director and writer, and is not afraid to show or say whatever he wants to through his films, which often makes them unpleasing and distasteful to many that view his work. However, I'm not one of the people that finds his work distasteful or meaningless. In my opinion, von Trier is a master of his craft and has been able to put together pieces of art that are truly profound and immensely artistic. I think that von Trier's confidence does often ride the line of egomania, but it has helped him and enabled him to make many films that other filmmakers are either not creative enough or are uncomfortable making. This ability to tackle uncomfortable subject matter is something that sets von Trier apart in the modern filmmaking atmosphere. One of the topics that von Trier chooses to discuss greatly with a lot of symbolism in a variety of his films is the topic of depression. Von Trier himself suffered from severe depression in the past, which is what he cites as his inspiration for the series of films that he has named the Depression Trilogy, which is composed of the films Antichrist, Melancholia, and Nymphomaniac, as you can see represented behind me. The Depression Trilogy is really only a thematic trilogy, as the actual stories do not connect in any way. All of these 3 films are vastly different from one another in terms of the actual plots of the movies. They do share a common thread of depression, but the way in which von Trier tackles the subject matter is very different, both in terms of what he's addressing and how he chooses to directly represent this through the characters themselves or symbolically through various elements. For the purpose of these videos, I will be treating them as 3 films, since that is how Lars von Trier sees them. Even though Nymphomaniac was technically released in 2 separate parts, and that is how I watched them, this is how he considers it to be made, and also, that's why I watched the director's cut, so that I've seen the true version of his film and his vision. I love each of these films for different reasons, despite the fact that they make me incredibly uncomfortable. And that is why I thought it would be interesting to do a series of videos analyzing the different elements that relate to each other between the 3 films. I also want to evaluate how each of the films is amazing in its own right, but how the commentary on depression comes together to form a much larger message in the form of the trilogy as a whole. The series will be much different than most of my other videos in that it will be an analysis rather than reviews of the films themselves, and also because it will be more, not rant quite, but just monologue, I guess, kind of like the Zack Snyder's Justice League video. My opinions of each of these films is that they're incredibly powerful, moving, and impactful works of art. which is why I've chosen to make the video. I wouldn't make the video if I thought these movies were garbage. I would highly recommend any of these movies to people who appreciate the art of film and appreciate Von Trier and his other work. But I am wary of recommending these films to anyone who wants a straightforward and enjoyable narrative. These are polarizing movies without a doubt, and for a good reason. I've heard both high praise and bitter hatred towards all three films. Each of them is incredibly difficult to watch, both because of the graphic content matter that they show, as well as the dark themes. And even having seen some pretty messed up stuff in movies, these movies are tough to sit through. That being said, it is difficult to truly recommend these movies to anyone, even people who like the same movies as I do, as there's no real way to tell if someone will appreciate or enjoy the ways in which Lars von Trier chooses to present his ideas in the three films. There's a variety of ways I'm going to split up my video series. There would be an episode on nihilism, an episode on symbolism, an episode on the characters, an episode on why I like the films, a couple other ones, but just to kind of split up and break it up so that it's not just random ranting, that each video and each episode has its own thought process, its own points that are being made, and how those points relate to each other and how they come together. I'm going to talk about each of the three films in each video series and each of the episodes, because I think it's important to talk about how they come together, the three films as a whole. That's part of the reason I'm not just doing an analysis video on Antichrist and on Nymphomaniac and Melancholia. I want to do a video series on the whole. And so that's why I'm going to be talking about each in the video and talking about the different viewpoints, the different parts, the different aspects. I'm going to try to cover as much as I possibly can in this series and just a long format. And so they'll most likely be pretty long videos. Also, given that this will be a series of analytical videos, I cannot promise that the videos will not contain spoilers. I hate to spoil movies. I really try to avoid it as much as possible. But when talking about these movies, especially in this deeper sense, there might be circumstances in which I have to talk about elements of the plot in order to kind of fully flesh out the idea I'm discussing. However, I will include a spoiler warning at the beginning of each video, should any contain spoilers. So for example, I didn't in this video because there are no spoilers, but if a video has spoilers for like a middle portion or the end portion of one of the movies, or has spoilers for throughout, I'll say spoilers for Nymphomaniac or spoilers for Antichrist, or there's no spoilers for such and such. That way, if there's a specific movie that you're trying to avoid having spoiled before watching the video, you are able to do that comfortably and you don't have to worry about my video spoiling it for you or ruining that experience for you. Because I think that going in blind is maybe the best way to enjoy these movies. I don't know. That's kind of how I went in. Didn't know much about Von Trier, so I guess it's up to you. For me, I kind of like going in a little bit blind to Von Trier films, even though now I have a little bit more of an idea of what to expect. But that being said, I will try to avoid spoilers. As I said, the videos will likely vary in length. I've done a lot of different varying lengths of research for different portions. I have a lot more thoughts on some topics than others. So some videos could be 3 minutes, others might be more than 10. So that's going to be kind of up to how much I talk about it, how much I ad-lib, how much I stick to my scripts. And I hope that that's not too off-putting. It's not going to be super structured in terms of length, but it is pretty structured in terms of the actual episodes themselves. So this is a project that I've been working on for a long time. I'm going to start releasing it weekly, this being the first episode. I'm probably going to film all of the episodes at once and release them weekly. That way, there's not this massive delay of, oh, Travis is never going to finish the videos again. So hopefully that gives some people some peace of mind and that the videos are actually going to come out. And obviously, as I said, this is a topic that's close to home. It's something that is important to me. And it's something that I want to discuss in a mature and just respectful manner. This is obviously a challenging subject matter to talk about, the aspects of depression and everything that entails. And so I wanted to make sure that this was finished and proper before I was releasing these videos. I didn't want to rush them out. I didn't want to throw them out there just because I wanted to do it. I wanted to make sure that these videos were good. And so hopefully other people like watching these videos, listening to them, if they want to listen to like a podcast, because I'm not doing much with my background, they can do that too. And I hope everyone enjoys them as much as I am enjoying making them and as much as I enjoyed doing all the research. So thank you. And until episode 2.